So the YouTube automation space is completely flooded right now with beginners making the exact same fatal errors. Like a lot of people, they watch a Google video, they spin up a fresh Gmail account, they pump out 5 videos using basic AI tools, and then they completely panic when they hit flat 0 views and they get stuck in zero view jail. And then they think the algorithm hates them, they think they got shadow banned, and they quit by week 3. So today, I'm not gonna gatekeep anything. I'm literally gonna pull the curtains down and show you the exact algorithms and like the reasons why I feel like beginners of creators, data that I've noticed with the students that I coach as well, why most beginners fail to build a profitable Faceless channel. And more importantly, I'm going to introduce a lot of concepts that we use as well, like how YouTube tracks your devices, something like device telemetry, how to engineer your RPM to actually ensure that you're not chasing empty views, what happens when views go viral and how to actually use outliers and when to not use outliers. I'm going to show you how like actual operators bypass these beginner traps that a lot of beginners make by treating YouTube like pretty much like a mitigated digital risk asset, right? Digital asset rather than something they do as a hobby. Because if you're a busy, high-earning professional who wants to build like a turnkey business with YouTube, you can't afford to work on the guesswork, right? You can't afford to just guess what you're doing. You have to be able to understand the machine that you're building on. You have to be able to understand the algorithm, how it works, right? You have to be able to understand these things so that you can pretty much like have a profitable and more stable income from YouTube. Because most people, if you're making a lot of these mistakes, most people lose their channels over stupid small mistakes, right? So here's how beginners fail and how we actually engineer the infrastructure that actually allows you to scale on YouTube. Now, the very first reason people fail, literally on the foundation, right? The very first reason, before they even ever upload a single piece of content, right? They fail at the hardware and the infrastructure level, right? So here's what a beginner does, right? They're going to go ahead and use the exact same laptop that they've been using for like their personal browsing and watching videos, and they're going to create a brand new YouTube account on their personal IP address, and they immediately start uploading heavily edited AI videos that might go on YouTube, look for niches like new best AI niches, whatever. They're going to start uploading like highly edited AI slop niches. And what they don't realize is that YouTube's algorithm is in an absolute war against bot farms. And YouTube doesn't track your email address, they track your exact device telemetry, right? They use browser fingerprinting, right? They use stuff like canvas fingerprinting, right? They use all these little things to track you, right? And they understand exactly what machine is interacting with their platform, right? And when the neural network, whatever the brain, whatever it's Gemini they're using nowadays, when it sees a fresh account just pumping out like AI content on an IP address that has no like established creator history, it immediately triggers their spam filters and actively suppresses their reach. This is why new beginners face the infamous like the thing they get shadow banned or they get thrown into the zero view jail, and essentially their channel is like mathematically dead on arrival before they can even like post a video. So people that actually do YouTube seriously, they don't do this. Okay, what we do is we build infrastructure that's going to allow you to make sure they're future proof, right? Like we don't use fresh Gmails. We source something called aged accounts. I'm sure you probably heard this before. So we source aged accounts that's been around for years, and because it's been around for years, they already have like baseline good trust score for the algorithm from day one. But another thing we do is we kind of take that a step further, right? So we go ahead and we use dedicated LLCs, right? And we use isolated like browsing environments. I've talked about this on the channel before. Things like, what's the name? There's a bunch that we use. I don't want to leak the exact one. Yeah, you can use something like Dolphin Anti, right? But essentially, we're separating these things so that the AdSense accounts remain legally and like digitally separated, because you want to scale, right? Do you really want to YouTube and just have one channel? Eventually you want to scale to multiple like 4-figure, 5-figure months, and most of the times it's easier to do this when you have multiple channels, right? You want to make sure that you isolate your assets so you don't lose them, right? We were talking to someone the other day and they're terrified. They're literally stuck at like a 15K a month Canadian. They can't scale further from that because they're scared that if they create a new channel, right? If they create a new channel, they're endangering that one, right? Instead of creating a new channel on the same AdSense, just because they like didn't set up everything properly in the first place, right? And all their digital fingerprints and everything is like associated with that one channel. And they are so scared to scale that think, I'm just gonna focus on this one channel. I'm just gonna focus on this one channel, and they're stuck at like 15K a month, and they can't really scale that far. And like because of what they believe, they're just stuck in that area. So if you have some kind of like high income career, you have to treat your YouTube channels like literally digital real estate portfolio, right? If one property has an issue, and this is what YouTube does really badly, it burns your entire network. So if you don't set it up like this, like what beginners do, they're just chasing the first big results. It's just chasing the first big results, right? Which is why If you have a single point of failure, right, you don't want that. So if you want to do YouTube probably like a business, you want to mitigate risk as much as possible. You might think, oh, that's probably never going to happen to you, but YouTube keeps changing their policies. You have to be able to like mitigate risk as much as possible. Very important. I'm sure you guys will understand this. If you actually want to build anything long term, you have to think about all these things. Now, the second reason beginners fail is because they don't understand ideation. And the problem they make is they outsource, because ideation is basically the brain of the channel. When I say ideation, is what kind of videos you're going to be posting on the channel. So if you go ahead and you outsource this to a chatbot like Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, oh, how to write your scripts with Claude AI, and they combine this and they're using it to like chase their trends and like stuff like that, you're doing something wrong. Ideation is the entire trajectory of your channel, right? So let me show you what beginners would do, right? They would, find a video. Let's say they find a video that hit 2 million views, right? They find a video that hit 2 million views and they just copy the transcript. This is what's being taught on YouTube everywhere. It's being purported. Oh, copy the transcripts, go over to Claude AI and say, give me 30 video ideas just like this. The only thing Claude is doing is just predicting, right? Text based from the prompt that you give it. By the time an outlier you're copying has gotten 2 million views, the velocity that it has already peaked, right? Like the audience satisfaction has already happened. Audience fatigue has happened for this idea. So what you're now doing, you're entering a market in the decay phase. This is exactly what happened with the Zen channel, right? You're entering a market where you're essentially doing it during the decay phase. You're generating mass market slump. So if you come here in the last 4 months when this outlier kind of went super viral, everyone started copying it. Right? People that don't really know how to ideate properly told you the best thing to do is just go on Claude and just tell it to give you video ideas, right? This immediately literally put a lot of competitors into the mass adoption phase. They were entering into the mass adoption phase of niche sophistication, right? Which is where the market is already entirely like saturated, which is not what you want. So if you want extreme results, you have to be able to measure velocity to subscriber ratios, right? Or view to subscriber ratios, right? So for this, we use a tool called 1 of 10. You want to make sure you're doing this. You want to use this to like monitor the metrics across millions and millions and millions of channels. There's so many channels here. So many channels, right? And we're not looking for 2 million view videos. No, we're looking for a channel, right? Which is this is some of the filters we use here. We're looking for a channel that hasn't, that's like under 1,000 subs, for example. That would be ideal. Channel that has low subscribers, but just had like a 50K views outlier within 48 hours. That's a super aggressive, really useful outlier that you can use, right? But we don't stop there, right? We want to be able to cross niche arbitrage. So if we're running, say, a finance channel, like one of those investing channels, let's pull some up here. If we're on like some kind of finance channel, right, and we wanted to make ideas, what we do use Claude or ChatGPT, but we use it differently. So we're gonna go there and we're gonna ask it what other niches share the same like audience psychology, right? For example, you'd have like survival niches or tech niches, right? It's these similar niches, and then so let's say we're making finance videos, we're gonna come to 1 of 10, right? And we're gonna adapt it back to finance. We're gonna search like tech kind of videos, tech video ideas, right? And essentially we're taking adjacent niches, right? Taking ideas from there and adapting it back in our niche. And because no one's done it in our niche, that's when you can have those outliers. That's how you can be a pioneer. So essentially we're legally stealing ideas that are already proven to work. Like already the click triggers, the psychology, the hooks are already proven, right? So the ideas we're making are already validated using accelerating demand on YouTube itself, right? Before we ever write a script. Because you got to understand, like YouTube is a zero-sum game. You have to intercept and like make use of the market, the actual data it gives you before it peaks. If you're always behind the market, you have to be able to know when the market is moving. If you're behind it and you're not following it, it just dies, and then you're not going to earn anything, right? So yeah, that is exactly how we engineer like viral outliers without like relying on luck or just relying on volume and praying. No, you need an actual strategy. So now, obviously, sitting down, setting up LLCs, managing residential proxies, and like doing all these 1 of 10 data analysis, it takes a amount of time. It takes some good brain power and sometimes just sit there and do that. And if you have some kind of full-time job, let's say you're a senior engineer working 50 hours a week, you literally do not have 20 extra hours required to be able to like map out these things properly to ensure you have a proper niche strategy and you're using cross niche arbitrage properly, right? So, and that is exactly why we build and manage this entire infrastructure for our clients. We're going to provide you the aged trusted channel. We're going to execute a 1 of 10 data extraction strategy to hand you your first 30 days of video ideas, all validated, and then we're going to go ahead and install your production team, right? And it's the exact same system we deployed for our client Noah here that you can see. this is actually another student that we had, and he turned the coach recently, which is very interesting. We implemented the infrastructure, and he ended up hitting 6.7K in 28 days without ever editing or like touching an editing timeline. We have another testimonial coming soon. Her name is Pamela. She lives in Australia. She scaled past 10K a week, actually. She had a really good week, scaled past 10K a week. And she manages her asset only when like her kids went to bed. That's when like she would kind of sit around and edit. There's some on the website now. But yeah, that testimonial is coming out really soon. So if you have the capital to buy back your time and you want our team to deploy this asset strategy for you, hit the first link in the description, and we'll see if you could fit. But now, using algorithm data and 1 of 10 and all these ideation strategies is only half the battle, right? Once you have the ideas, beginners completely destroy themselves in the execution phase, like completely every single time. So the third reason beginners fail is because they fall into what I like to call the freelancer trap, and they completely misunderstand how burnout works and how like economics works like in general, right? So a beginner will clock out of their 9 to 5 job, right? They'll come home from work, they'll come home and they'll spend 4 hours in Premiere Pro or CapCut or DaVinci Resolve trying to edit a single 10-minute video. They try to be the script writer, they try to be the graphic designer and the video editor all at once, right? So let's go ahead and do the math on this. If your time is worth $50 an hour at your day job and you spend 4 hours editing a video, that video costs you $200 of your own equity to produce, right? Like you're operating on a massive negative margin from day one. You cannot scale horizontally. If you're the bottleneck of your own business, you can't start more channels. You're just going to burn out in week 2 and quit, which is why you say YouTube never actually works, right? What you want to do is do it properly how people that actually run YouTube like a business do it. You want to automate the supply chain. So we hire hungry, reliable editors from Discord or Upwork for ranges between $10 to $50 a video. We're going to remove ourselves from the low leverage tasks so we can actually focus entirely on the packaging stuff that actually matter and like quality assurance, doing the things that actually move the channel forward. Now when it comes to the packaging, we don't do that manually either. Obviously AI is gotten really good. We use AI for the packaging of the videos. So we'll generate our thumbnails using Higgsfield, as you can see right here, and we'll run the thumbnails through Google Vision, right? So Google Vision API, essentially YouTube uses Gemini. Gemini is like kind of neural networks to scan your thumbnail. Like when you post a video, before it ever hits like the human's like homepage on YouTube, if the API kind of detects that your image, your thumbnail, let's just test it. So let's say this was your thumbnail right here. So before this thumbnail would ever reach the YouTube homepage, YouTube will use Gemini to scan it. And if the API detects that your image comes across, we'll go with the safe search here. If it comes into like the kind of red bars here, if it's like too racy or like too violent or like too spoofy, all these things, YouTube will instantly restrict your reach, and it won't tell you. It's not going to tell you, oh, we're giving you less views because of this. They will never diagnose it for you, right? So we want to make sure that we verify compliance mathematically, so there's no noise. We can't just say, oh, we posted the video, it didn't get pushed, but we don't know why, right? We need to be able to have videos pushed without friction, right? Now, another final reason that beginners fail is that they completely misunderstand how the money is actually made, okay? They chase empty virality. They want millions and millions of views in the gaming market or the entertainment niches, only to realize that their RPMs is like $1.5 or like $2 or like $3, all these pennies, literally pennies on long form. If you want to make a highly profitable side income, you have to engineer your channel for the RPM or for the CPM like bidding wars that all these companies are doing. So advertisers that want their products or services promoted on YouTube, that would literally bid on viewer demographics. They'll pay more for some, right? So we want to make our channels to target the older demographics, like 55-year-old plus in spaces like finance, do it yourself, health, survival, like all these kind of niches that all the demographics watch. And the good thing about these target audience is that they don't skip ads as aggressively as like the younger audience. They have a disposable income, right? And they watch videos all the way through, right? Advertisers pay a massive premium, for these high intent people, right? Like literally RPMs can range from $8 per thousand views, $9 all the way to even $15. And to lock this in, that's exactly why we use the 1.5x multiplier, right? So we want to trigger YouTube session carryover metric. So YouTube essentially prioritizes session watch time as much as possible. So if the competitors in our niche, if we analyze the niche you're in, if the competitors in our niche, if they're making 8-minute videos, we want to mandate our freelance team to produce 12-minute videos, 15-minute videos, sometimes even make long compilation as long as 1 hour videos, right? By keeping the viewer on the platform as long as possible, the algorithm is literally going to flag your channel as a high session contributor, which means you're in line with what YouTube wants. YouTube wants more people to spend more time on the platform. So now that you're in line with exactly what they want, you're going to make more money. Another thing is a 12-minute video, a 15-minute video, a 1 hour video allows you to put multiple ads, a lot more ads, like cram a lot of ads in the actual video, a lot of like more mid-roll ads, as you can see in the screenshot right here. You can add a lot more mid-roll ads, and you're literally doubling your ad inventory on the exact same video without chasing extra views and all these things, right? So you want to multiply your revenue without needing to chase all these things. And it's exactly how we help Mike do this. So he generated $16,000 in 28 days. Oh, this is the wrong client. This is the wrong client. Let me see if I can find Mike here somewhere. Mike, no, that's Sasha. Where is Mike? Mike. Okay, yeah, this is Mike. So this is how we generated Mike in the UK, 16.4K in 28 days, right? Also how we helped Theo right here. This is Theo. Again, this is income disclaimer. I'm not saying you're gonna make 43 grand. Theo is an extremely competent individual. He will outwork you, right? So Theo's always go, 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 go. It's his personality. So he managed to scale from literally zero to the last time, not the last time, in the screenshot when I asked him, he hit a 43K a month. And recently when I talked to him in WhatsApp, he scaled to like 70K a month. He's making over 100 videos a month across 5 channels. So essentially, he's not making the videos, editing the videos. No, of course not, right? But he's essentially scaled it. Now he just sends me pictures in his penthouse, wherever it is, Greece, wherever, right? So you don't need a million subscribers, right? They just understand how to manipulate like the ad auction and cram in as much ads as possible and scale horizontally and all these things. And that's the thing, most beginners fail because they treat YouTube like a fun little side hobby, but YouTube is a zero-sum game. If you get views, the fact that you're watching this video right now means that I took you from someone else's video. You could have clicked someone else's video and watched it, but you're not watching that guy right now because you clicked on my video, right? So if you want to win, you want to treat it like a ruthless, data-driven business, right? So if you're a busy professional and you're ready to stop acting like a freelancer and start acting like an owner, we can help, right? So if you head over to Headstart Channels, we are gonna do the niche selection. We're gonna provide the aged, risk mitigated account setup with everything. And we're gonna build your outlier content system and strategy so we can, build the video ideas that will actually get views. And we're gonna install the cheap production team. So all you have to do is to just step in and like be the CEO of this business. And we only have about 2 spots left this month. We keep it strictly limited so we can actually dedicate the actual bandwidth and time required to help you build this business. So if you have the capital to invest in a real digital asset, go over to headstartchannels.com or click the first link in the description and apply. If you're not a good fit, we'll let you know immediately. But yeah, money loves speed. See you in the next video. Peace.